You read a bunch of books, you took a lot of notes, but you still feel like you forget what you have read. In this video, I'm going to share 3 tips that are less known about how you can skyrocket your retention and actually remember what you read. Hi and welcome to the Booklab. I'm Björn, and this is the place where I bring you the best book recommendations and tips on how to become a lifelong learner. And in this video, I want to share some techniques that really help me skyrocket my retention basically and help me remember what I read. The first tip that I have for you is to write a summary of the book that you just read. It might sound like a trivial task, but it's something magical that happens when you try to summarize the main themes, the key concepts, and the big ideas from a book in your own words. In the process, you kind of make the knowledge from the book into something that is your own, and you really have to think through what you learned. Booklab actually started by me writing summaries of the books that I read, and I posted them on Instagram, and I can really see a big difference between how much I remember from the books that I just took notes from and the books that I actually wrote summaries for. I remember so much more from the ones that I summarized myself. And my second tip is to discuss the books that you read with other people. And one of the best ways to do that is to join a book club. Book clubs are great because you all read the same book, but you get all these different perspectives and angles on the content of the book because you're there with people who have other life experiences, different backgrounds. So it's just a way to get a deeper relationship with the topics of the book. Another thing that I noticed is that when I read a book that I know I'm going to discuss at the book club, I read much more attentively because I know I want to bring some good takeaways, some good discussion topics to the book club when we meet up the next time. The book club I'm in is here in Stockholm, and we meet up in a bar, and it's just a blast also. So consider joining a book club or start your own. It's definitely worth it, and it will help you get more out of your reading. And the third technique that I want to share is probably the least accessible one and least utilized one, but it's also the most powerful technique that I've come across in order to boost your retention, and it's to teach other people what you have read. In order to teach others, you really have to understand what you have learned, right? You might say, well, I don't have an audience, I don't have a YouTube channel like you. How am I going to be able to teach other people? Well, that's fair, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. Most people have access to some kind of platform where they can share videos these days. And remember, it's not about becoming a book influencer or anything. It's about boosting your retention and helping you remember what you read. And I can really notice that when I started to share summaries and reviews on YouTube, what I've talked about in those videos, that information has really stuck in my mind. It's like, because I stand in front of the camera and I make the effort, it's kind of sends a signal to my brain that this is important information. I probably should store this in the long-term memory, because there's very little of what I talked about in the videos that I put out these last 2-3 years that I don't remember. And it's actually my secret recipe to remembering more is to get in front of the camera. You don't have to start a YouTube channel, but why not, right? You can share in your Instagram stories, or you can just record videos for yourself and don't share them with anyone. The key takeaway here is that if you make the effort to record and summarize the videos, it really helps you remember what you talk about, because you have to organize your thoughts around the topic that you're going to talk about in order to convey it in a powerful way to the people that are watching. And it has helped me a lot with retaining what I read. Those were a few tips for how to boost your retention and remember more of what you read. I recommend you to check out my video on how to get more reading done and how to create an exciting reading list. I have a bunch of videos like that in the playlist over here. And if you like this content, and like and subscribe, it really helps me reach more people with wonderful books and tips on how to become a better lifelong learner. And if you really want to support the channel, then back me on Patreon, where you get exclusive content and get access to a bunch of giveaways. We're giving away this book. There's a few days left. The Laws of Human Nature, one of my favorite books of all time. And I'm back next week with more book reviews. Until then, happy reading. Björn out.